Well, hey guys, I made it to Virginia before I head down to Maryland, and I wanted to introduce you to a special friend of mine. This guy actually taught me how to bow hunt, taught me how to bow fish, got me into the business that I'm in now, which is bow fishing. And it's funny because his last name is Bow, and he had a shop called Bows and Arrows in Alexandria, Virginia. Then it was in Woodbridge, Virginia. This man is full of knowledge, and we're going to just pick his brain a little bit today. So, guys, this is Robert Bow.
How do you do?
And Robert has been bow hunting since most of us were not even a thought. And he's got, I don't know how many animals he's killed.
Go in there in the living room and take pictures.
Robert, what's one of the highlights, since you've been hunting, what's one of the highlights of your hunting career?
Is being able to win the Lee Umler Award 7 times.
Now, most people don't know what the Lee Umler Award is. Can you explain what that is, where it came from, and who can get that?
Lee Umler was a club member. There was a
What
real
club?
Belvoir bow hunters. He was a real avid bow hunter. This guy would find bucks when nobody else could. He passed away in Maine over an aneurysm. So the club decided to name an award in his name. And originally it was anybody who could go out and harvest 5 deer. Well, at the time you had an archery license that entitled you to 2 deer, and then your regular hunting license, which entitled you to 3 deer. But in order to get the other 3, you had to harvest the 2 on your archery license first, which once the archery season was over with, they were null and void, so you couldn't use them anymore. So anyway, you had to shoot 5 deer. I got it twice then. I found that it was too easy, so we decided to change the specs on it. So what we did was we took the weight of the buck, the score of the rack, and a doe that would equal 300 points.
Okay, so you had to kill a buck, you had to kill a doe.
Buck.
Yeah, you had to harvest a buck and you had to harvest a doe. And the score of his antlers plus the weight of him plus the weight of the doe gave you a score. Now, what did they have to be? They had
300 points.
They had to be 300 points.
Right.
Okay.
So if you shot a 90-pound doe and a 110-pound buck, you needed a rack that would score 100 points. So that's how you would get it. At one time, there was only 2 people in the club that achieved this 3 times. And that was George Spicer and myself.
And you've had it now, you said you had it 7 times?
Correct.
Okay, so something you guys don't know about me. So when I was a Belvoir bow hunter, and under Robert Bow's guidance of teaching me how to hunt, I actually got the Lee Umler Award 2 times while I was at Fort Belvoir for killing a buck, a doe, and having a good score on the rack. And so that is a pretty prestigious award, and especially to get it 7 times.
Right.
What's one of the craziest animals you've ever killed with your bow?
I really don't know. The only thing is I shot a bear with a bow.
Shot a bear?
In Maine.
What about your piebald?
Piebald's in the room there.
Your piebald buck. That's
right.
That's something that not everybody's ever killed, is a piebald buck. And
I shot him at 25 yards with my tree stand on my back, leaving the truck, and turned around and looked, and the deer was standing there looking at me. I reached up, pulled the arrow out of the quiver, placed it in the bow, and shot him with fingers.
Shoot him with fingers.
Back then is what I shot. And that Mountaineer bow in there is the same type bow that I shot the deer with. As a matter of fact, there's a flyer right there from Mountaineer with my picture in there with the buck.
Nice, nice. So when is the last time that you actually got to get in the deer woods, and do you miss it?
Probably 2013. And I shot a 7-pointer in R2 in Fort Belvoir. That was the last buck that I harvested at Fort Belvoir.
Okay.
I've hunted Fort Belvoir when they had a gun season, which was a long, long time ago.
Well, so I tell you guys about him owning this archery shop. It was called Bows and Arrows. Robbie, how long did you have that shop for?
Over 20 years.
20 years. Teaching people how to shoot bows, fixing people's bows, building bows.
Repairing crossbows, doing it all.
Now, so something that is really specific to me is bow fishing. And so I remember my very first time getting into bow fishing was actually on Robert's boat. And Robert, what got you into bow fishing? And can you tell us some stories about that?
A fellow named Pete McNamara. He's a roofer over in Maryland, and he was telling me about shooting stingrays, and he promised to take me out. So he had a aluminum boat. We went out and we started shooting stingrays, and I was hooked from that point on. And I held a tournament for 17 years until Peter got a hold of it and went to the legislature and had it somewhat outlawed that you couldn't have a tournament for stingrays for cash.
So this okay, now most of you guys may think, okay, why shoot stingrays? Well, this was a specific ray in a specific location that this happened on. So this was on the Patuxent River, right, Robbie?
Correct.
And this was called the skate mash. And people came from all over. And the reason that they harvested this stingray is this was the Cownose eagle ray. And they would come in giant schools, and they would decimate these oyster fields.
Clams, crabs. They would eat any of the crustaceans. And Maryland and Virginia for years was looking for something to do with these stingrays to kind of cut them back, because there was thousands of them out there. We went in there. At first, when we was having our tournaments, it was no holds barred, bring in as many as you want. But I got to thinking, well, somebody's going to catch wind of this and they're going to say something about it. So we cut it back to a 5-fish limit.
And what was your first year that you did that tournament, Robbie?
Oh, let me see. Probably late 70s. No, yeah. No, late 80s.
Late 80s.
Yeah.
Wow. And this fish also, this eagle ray, this Cownose eagle ray, you can eat this Cownose eagle ray, and it's a lot smaller than the southern stingrays, right? But they are good to eat. A lot of people shoot them and eat them. But this was more of they weren't an invasive species, but they were obviously detrimental to what they were doing, causing problems, right?
Correct. They would average somewhere around 30 to 40 pounds, but we'd get a few of them that might hit the scales at about 50 pounds. The southern stingray has the ability to get up to 175 pounds, but we didn't have any of those in the Patuxent River. So we've just targeted the stingray, the Cownose ray.
Now, Robbie, you remember when I first started coming to the shop on Sundays? What did you think about that? This young soldier guy that's coming in your shop.
I've had a lot of them come under my wing and help in the shop, learn, and go out and do their thing with the archery industry. You know, whether they be bow fishing or they be bow hunting. You know, I've met people from all walks of life.
Now, up until just recently, bows and arrows was kind of a big name in the archery industry in Virginia specifically, around Fort Belvoir, Alexandria, the D.C. area. Anyone that wanted to hunt knew to go see Robbie at Bows and Arrows. Now, how long was that shop open, and when did you close it?
It was open for over 20 years. As a matter of fact, I was a Matthews dealer for over 20 years, and I just closed the shop about 2 weeks ago, and here it is.
February
February the 2nd,
2022.
Yeah, 2022 is when I closed, and I've had the shop for over 20 years.
Well, Robbie, I think that's a lot of time being an archer, being a hunter, and introducing people one-on-one to archery, and getting people's bows set up, and then probably killing their deer for the first time. And
I'm passing it on like a man passed it on to me. A man named Frank Jones. He was a very prominent archer in the field archery. He was also a hell of a bow hunter. This guy shot a lot of deer on the ground. He wasn't in a tree stand. This man stalked them and shot them. So that tells you what kind of hunter he was.
Well, you were a pretty good hunter yourself, and you've taught me everything I know when it came to repairing bows, putting bows together, and hunting. And I've learned a lot. Pick your brain. I think every Sunday I'd pick your brain while you had me cleaning up and tying D-loops on and peep sights in. And so I really appreciate everything that you did for me, Robbie, and done for the archery community. And I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, sir. Well, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed meeting Robert Bows and Arrows. The shop's closed now, but if you're ever in Virginia, up near Alexandria, and there's a Firestone, hang a right. Maybe you'll see the old man out in his yard shooting or something. But his legend goes on down in Fort Belvoir as one of the greatest bow hunters that they have had, and still probably the highest holding Lee Umler Award owner that there is. And so I hope you guys enjoyed seeing all his animals and his mounts and meeting Robert Bow. Robert, thank you so much.
Thank you.